Welcome to Sparks by PRCA, a podcast series channel. This episode is part of the podcast series special, Mindful Communicators, Promoting Mental Resilience.
Hello, my name is Patrick Melville. I'm a mental health expert, and I'm working with PRCA on building the mental resilience in the industry. We started running podcasts interviewing senior members based in the UK, and now I'm so pleased to have a senior industry member based in Dubai and also on the PRCA Middle East board. Welcome, Natasha Hatherall, founder and CEO of TishTash Communications.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here in a big wave from Dubai.
So let's go into the questions, please. I'd love to hear, what are the stress drivers that you've seen in the industry? And of course, it could be geological, but also in the business. You are an international organization.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the reality is, we got through COVID and we thought that, we'd have ridden that wave. But I think the reality is we're doing business. We're trading in very uncertain times at the moment, generally.
Yeah.
And then that's obviously an international as well as, regional. Internationally, we have a recession. There's political challenges. And then, if you look regionally here in the Middle East, since October, we've had a regional conflict which has had a great impact on business and at the people, obviously human level too. So I think at the core level, I think right now we are in very uncertain times, and that has a big impact. I haven't seen clients and businesses so stressed in a long time. Probably on near comparison to COVID times, and that ultimately filters down because they're under a lot of pressure. Particularly a lot of our retail clients, that filters down. Sometimes, there probably is behavior that I don't condone, the way that they speak to my team. But I always try and say to my team, look, we have to, they're people, humans too. They've got pressure coming on them from above to try and give a bit of understanding. So economically, as we know, globally, it's tough right now. Things look glossy and great in Dubai, and there is so much going on here and brilliant things, but also, we're not immune to kind of like some of the economic challenges, and we are a country full of lots of expats as well. Yeah. So that definitely is something, the economic side in terms of particularly retail struggling, that then obviously has an impact on business as a whole, and then even down to the human factor. Cost of living is everywhere super high. It's the same here, and that puts a lot of pressure on your team as well. Everyone's kind of stressed and trying to juggle. I would say like here, even friends, with two good professional salaries, Dubai, it's very different than it used to be 14 years ago, where when I first arrived, really? Was, more of a hardship, place to live. People came, obviously with a chance to save and have an experience living abroad. Now, obviously, the UAE, Dubai, and Middle East, it's, there is so much opportunity here. It's also a brilliant place to live with lifestyle. And so gone are the days in many ways where you get a lot of the perks that you used to, such as school fees paid and such big salaries. So they know that people want to live here.
What are the methods that you're using to support and to specifically build the resilience to still do the job whilst this is happening around your staff?
Yeah, we've always at TishTash, we are known for being pretty sort of innovative and ahead of the curve. We have always really, my agency, we focus on health and wellness. So, by default, you have to walk the walk. So that's something, whilst it's not always, easy in obviously our industry, which is one of the most stressful in the world, but it's something we have really prioritized a lot on. So, we had a lot of things in place, and we continue to optimize that. So we work a 4.5-day week. We obviously reduced our hours probably 3 years ago now. And that's obviously, you know, working really well. And we obviously encourage on the Friday afternoon, you know, we encourage our team to do something for themselves. So whether it is gym, you know, spa, reading, whatever it looks like, a lot of the time they go out together, the team, actually, they'll go and do something which is really nice, be it going, you know, to the beach or something. So that's like, you know, I'm really sort of big advocate of people having time for themselves to end the week. We also still work hybrid, and I do think being able to, we do 3 days in the office and 1.5 from home. I think that really does make a difference as well. Like, you know, for example, yesterday it was a work from home day, but I actually was in the hairdresser getting my hair done. And, you know, and my view is like, you know, go and work from anywhere, go and work on the beach, go and work in a cafe. Just, you know, get a bit of different perspective, meet other people. There's lots of really great co-working spaces as well in Dubai. So go meet some new people. So I think having that flexibility as well, not tying people to desks, is really important. And so we've always been very, very flexible. We have a little bit unique in a way that, you know, we can still get away with it here, but we have 100% female workforce at TishTash. We have 68 women. Yeah. And we really and a high proportion of our team are working mums as well. So we, you know, there was very few opportunities for working women here that had any flexibility. So we've really tried to fill that gap, and we've got some amazing talent as a result of that, who are, you know, been in the business for a long time. So I think all these things in terms of flexibility, hybrid, you know, the 4.5-day weeks. We also do work from anywhere for a month of the year. Yes. So the team can apply to, you know, particularly when you're expats, you know, you don't want to spend all of your holiday like visiting your home country, however much you love family and friends. So we've done so the team can apply to work from anywhere, be it Bali, be it their home country. So that's something which also has been really, really popular. So I do think a lot of it does come down to my experience. I mean, yes, we, you know, we have lots of other things as well. Like we have a really strong wellness policy. We, you know, we do bring in experts all the time. Like, you know, we have from sound healing in the office to yoga in the office.
And I like your point about sort of this list of giving space to build this resilience. And is to sort of take time away. Where can I ask, where do clients come into this? For example, you said about bringing hours down. Of course, there must be some pushback or some, you know, education to clients. That's how it happens. Please.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, when we did it, obviously we, you know, we're a communications business, so we shouldn't have to communicate. And we, you know, we were very, you know, transparent with all of our clients, and we wrote them kind of a communication about basically, you know, asking them to support us in our mission to, you know, give work-life balance to our team. And we actually said, you know, we actually encourage you to do the same as well. And we all have a consistent out of office that we put on Friday lunchtime as well, and it says exactly that. But ultimately, you know, if there is an emergency, if we need to do something, there is an understanding. You know, it's not just we're not. You know, most of us are probably like, you know, we have got an eye on things, or they know Polly and my MD or I, and we'll reach out. But we are very consistent, and we're very, very sort of, you know, strict on it with everybody, and we've communicated it. And most people are always like, you know, we love the way you look after your team, and other clients and suppliers have done the same. So, you know, I kind of, we wanted to kind of use it as a way to try and inspire others.
You said there'll always be moments, you know, as in generally clients get it. And I think that's one of the big steps when people even think to have a conversation with clients, say, please don't email me after 7 o'clock. And the worry they have already. When there has been that client pushback, how's that turned out? Have you got any tips about that?
I think most of our clients have been with us a good amount of time. They know that we are invested in their business. And I think when you've got that trust and that relationship, they'll know that when you're there, or when they need you, you are there. But also that, you know, if your team are, you know, like rested and mentally in a good place, and all of that comes. I think I generally, you know, look, there have been, you know, times when, for example, like one client basically said, like, you know, we pay you, we own you. That client was not a client for much longer, because I mean, we're very value driven at TishTash. That's something that's really important to me. And ultimately, if clients don't align with our values and don't get us, then they're probably not the clients for us. Now, I appreciate not everyone has always got that luxury of picking and choosing, you know, particularly when we are in difficult economic times. But for me, that's a bit of a warning bell that probably isn't someone that I want to work with, and doesn't get us. So I'm not scared to lose clients if they don't understand, or appreciate why we're doing something which is really important like this.
That's such a powerful but also interesting point that you push back. And I think it's obviously there's a theory that everyone thinks about, but to action it is quite a for some. Of course, you've shared that you've done it, and when you've focused on these specific areas about building resilience, can you share any ideas about how this has been measured, or any sort of metrics to help track that? What's working, what needs to be done, what isn't working?
We have, we are very flexible. We, do all of these things, and we have everything from as well. Like we have period leave. We were the first in the region to launch menopause leave, paid menstrual leave, paid fertility IVF leave. So we are very vocal about all of these things. And there's been a lot of jokes about, all of the members of the all-female PR agency, their periods synced and they all took time, or, they're all off work and the agency fell apart kind of thing. Look, I mean, I see that if someone has to do memes about that, it's kind of, I take it as a positive thing. But we have literally, like, look at the last 3 years, we have, increased in turnover 50% for the past 3 years, and last year 63% in the agency. So even from you're looking at, a basic kind of performance of a business, we put our people first, we put all of these measures in place, and it is showing on the bottom line and all the performance of our business. Also, like, you look at my my team, there's 68 in the team. I would say over half of the team have been with us over 5 years. I have probably over about a quarter have been like more than 8 years. And we have a really, really loyal team. We last year we did Great Places to Work, and we wanted to do that accreditation because for us, we are a people first business. And I think, I think they said that we got one of the highest scores, I think, that anybody, I think we got like 98% or something.
Really?
And that's obviously ranked by, your team do the surveys and everything is, so, we wanted to do things to quantify, because we feel really strongly about the fact that, we believe being, putting our people first, being flexible, and having some quite unique ways of being as a team, they really do make a difference.
What are the steps you're considering for 2024?
Going back to kind of you've been talking a lot recently about doing business in uncertain times. And I think the reality is, I mean, it feels that at the moment, every day we're having another conversation with procurement that obviously, want to reduce budgets. And so it kind of like you can end up in like a bit of a kind of a vicious kind of cycle at the moment, I feel, business wise, but it seems very negative. I think for us, we've always been known as being creative, innovative, and we are, whilst it may be a little bit tough right now, we're seeing it as the opportunity, to how can we remain agile? What can we do to innovate? So, they're the things that we're kind of focusing on. Things like people first, for example, like if the industry is in an uncertain and difficult place, obviously, as I talked about, that filters down. So, I'm feeling it, my business partner's feeling it. And then obviously you've got your team that are feeling it as well, because they're, dealing with, yes, they're all struggling with the cost of living, that you don't know, like there's lots of redundancies. So you never know whether their other half or, if something has lost his job. And so, look, I think you've got to like keep the human factor at the heart of it as well, because everybody is going through something.
One of the things as a mental health first aider, which, because I'm an instructor, I see, is to be aware that if you want to help someone, you're never going to be the best person for everyone. You have to stand back. With your agency size, how do you sort of filter that down in terms of for people to be aware about it, to be able to have those conversations and it's got to early intervene any potential issues that might arise?
I always did one-on-ones with every single person in my team every week. Obviously, the size we're at now, I'd say maybe at 40 people, I stopped doing that, because for me, I always said that I didn't really want to have a business where I didn't know all the names of everyone in my business and have a relationship. Now, I mean, there's mildly I'm struggling, but I do believe I still know everyone's name. So we have, we're super transparent. So even from, we have like obviously weekly management meeting, team meeting, all the different teams have team leaders who obviously we filter things through. So we have got a very, very clear kind of, structure. And obviously then whilst we might sit with our management team once a week, then they obviously filter it down. But we still do one-on-ones with everyone in our team once a month. And I'm really, really passionate about this. I mean, I've got to do it tomorrow. And the reality is sitting with 68 people back to back, I do end the day feeling like I've been hit by a bus as well. When you've kind of when you've taken on everybody's kind of, what they're going through. But I feel it's really important because I still feel that I know everybody to a reasonable degree in my business. Like there's been times where I've literally said to my, maybe my HR director, like, can you just have a word with that person? Because something, I can just tell by their demeanor, that something is like not quite right. And okay, whilst I know that, as we grow, I can't keep doing that. But my believe that obviously I instill the importance of that to my different managers, and then they can obviously, as a collective, we can make sure. But I think, for me it is, and I'm as a, leader that I've been very visible in the industry. For example, in COVID, I started it was actually came really, really, it was a bit unexpected because it was probably the third week of lockdown and everyone had lost all of their clients or 8 of their clients and was thinking, you're going to lose your business. And I had a bit of a meltdown on Instagram. I'm like, obviously old school. I love to write. And so I literally probably wrote 4 Instagram stories very openly and transparently about the reality of surviving a business and keeping people employed. And maybe it was one of those things that could have gone either way. But I had so many messages from everyone that really related to my honesty when no one else was talking about it honestly. And then fast forward, I actually ended up writing this diary for 2 years every day. I won quite a lot of awards and very much became kind of like the voice of like kind of just keeping it real, warts and all. And I still now, it might become a book, not sure, working on that. But my point being, I'm very, very, I believe in the power of being super honest, super transparent. And I think that is, so my team also, I want them to know, that honesty, mental health challenges are not weakness. I've also, I've a long term, I have anxiety, I have medication for anxiety. And I talk about that really, really openly because I feel there is so much still, it's getting better, but there's still so much shame around medication. And I remember like one of my team had a they're not with the agency anymore, but I had a very, she ended up having to go on medication for anxiety, and she felt such a failure. And I remember sitting with her one day and she, and I said to her, do you look at me and see me as being a failure? And she was like, no, I know you're amazing. Or, and then I was like, well, look at yourself, because, some of the most amazing people have, anxiety, depression, it doesn't mean. And so these are things that I talk about candidly all the time in the industry here and with my team, because I don't want anyone to ever think that, we're all human, things happen, right? And you can have these things and still be brilliant and amazing, and it's okay to vocalize these things that you're struggling. I feel really super passionate about this, particularly got a lot of my team that are like working mothers, and it's really tough juggling career and kids, and then adding trying to be a good wife and it is a very, very unique group of challenges working women have. And I think so, and I don't want them to sit there smiling saying it's okay, when actually, what, it's really tough. I'd rather they sat there and had that conversation, because then you can find ways around it.
As we sort of come to the end of the podcast, I'd love to hear a couple of tips perhaps you can share for the listeners to take away. What can they do? What can they ask for? What can perhaps senior people in a business, what are the things that come to mind?
I mean, I really feel strongly, obviously, I've taken a very bold and strong position to stand for women in the industry, to show that, we're not all the same. When, women, we all need to be treated as individuals. So when we design workplaces, they've always traditionally been designed for the needs of men. Well, actually, women's needs are very different because we are doing different things. So I do think you need to look at your people as individuals as well, and what suits one is not going to suit others. And yes, I also I believe in treating everybody, the same, and, giving everybody the same opportunities, but also, there are different people need different things. And so I think that's really, really important to realize that, to look at what your people need, because it is different. Think about, I know that we, Gen Z get a really bad name these days and what their needs are. But the reality is, think about it, I'm 45 now, and, if I go back to when I was starting off my career, I wasn't, none of us had all the different channels right now, all the different social media. And I think we'd maybe had my first email account, we're not in the same world that people are these days. So I think everybody's over communicated with, everybody is overloaded. And so it is a very different world today. And we have to, so when we are looking at new generations and maybe don't understand them, and I'm spending a lot of time doing this at the moment, we're doing reverse mentoring with some of our Gen Z staff, because I don't understand necessarily, but I want to understand, because I don't necessarily think they are all lazy and don't want to work. I just think they want it on very, different terms and different priorities. So I think, so I definitely think listening to your people and looking, at individual needs is really, really important. The biggest thing that I always say, and I talk about this a lot, is the power of gut instinct. And I know that there's obviously in terms of leadership, there's different kind of views on this, but I think gut instinct and trusting yourself is the biggest power that you have in a business.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. There was a lot there. And obviously, we'll share your details on the website for anyone who wants to have a chat with you. But from my side, I'd love to say thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, Natasha.
Thank you for having me. It was really a pleasure.